Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos. So unfortunately I don't think Ole Gunnar Solsjaker is going to last much longer as Manchester United manager. Obviously we've enjoyed a really bad start to this season. We're actually enjoying our worst start to a Premier League season for 3 decades. We've only won 2 league games so far this season, and I think to be fair, analysing yesterday's performance against AZ Alkmaar in the Europa League, I think that's our worst performance so far this season. We didn't even register a single shot on target, in our history of the competition. Couldn't string any passes together, couldn't hold on to the possession, there was no tenacity in that, and I thought there was a lot of bad individual performances, and to be quite fair, AZ Alkmaar, were unlucky, not to win that particular game. But for me, I think, due to our inconsistency, I think the blame, stems from everybody, so I think it's a mixture in that aspect. But I always said I think the vast majority of the blame does stem from the board, because I think the board are a liability. The board didn't back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer enough, during the summer. They didn't recommend all the signings, that I did want to bring in to the football club. The board haven't been ruthless enough in the last, 3 to 4 windows, in my opinion. And, I think the board have got to assure structural changes at the football club, and whether they can assure these structural changes or not, I do not know. The question is, are they going to give, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the tools and that he does need? And I think also some of the blame does stem from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because obviously, he has to take responsibility, because I think his tactics are very questionable, and I will admit, Manchester United are very tactically inept. Also, some of the blame does stem from certain players, because there is a lot of players, of course, that are underperforming, and I think, also some of the blame does stem from Ed Woodward. But I think, due to our bad start to the season, I still believe Manchester United are backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and Ed Woodward, of course, is still convinced, that he can turn things around at the football club. But in my own opinion, I don't think he's going to work out for Solskjaer at Manchester United. I want his tenure to become successful at the football club, because I do love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a lot. He was a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got that proven pedigree as a player, but he hasn't really got that managerial experience to the highest level. So that's another element of concern I've got about him. Solskjaer did win a couple of Norwegian titles with Mould. Obviously, he had a short tenure with Cardiff, and obviously, ended up getting Cardiff relegated. So I don't think he's good enough, to be a manager. If I'm going to be quite honest with you. But like I said, everything needs to improve at Manchester United. I think the performances need to improve, the results need to improve. Certain players need to perform better. We need to score more goals. We've only managed 9 goals so far this season in the Premier League. So that just proves, we're not being ruthless enough in front of goal. I think also our away form needs to improve, because we haven't won away from home, since the PSG game last season. When we did produce that miraculous comeback in the Champions League. Obviously, that's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's most iconic moment as manager. I think also our home form needs to improve. But now in all competitions so far this season, we've won 4, drawn 4, and of course we have lost 2, and that is nowhere near good enough, to our standards. And we've only registered 9 points from possible 21 in the Premier League so far this season, and we are sitting 10th in the league. But this is just basically not good enough, and it just shows that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not exceeding expectations at Manchester United. Because I did initially say, didn't I, at the end of last season, and I said at the start of this season that our expectations this season will be to finish in that top 4, and perhaps maybe win some silver. And I said obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to exceed these expectations, because I did say our aspirations will be that top 4 in the next couple of seasons. Because analysing our squad at the moment, it isn't good enough to win the league or mount any kind of title challenge up. But I did say it's very essential that we do get back into the Champions League. And I think if we continue with this bad run of form, we could enjoy a worse season this season than what we saw last season. And last season was a huge disappointment. We finished 6th. Obviously, we failed to qualify for the Champions League. And I think we're enjoying a worse season this season. So I think, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, will be gone by Christmas. You know, don't forget, you know, I interpreted some of the stuff that Roy Keane had said on Monday Night Football after the 1-1 draw with Arsenal. He still believes that Manchester United, you know, need to stick with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You know, he believes we should give him at least a couple more windows, you know, to see who else, you know, he can recommend into the football club, because obviously analysing the majority of this squad, it's not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. You know, I credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the aspects though that I did, you know, recommend, you know, 3 good players to the squad during the summer. You know, we obviously spent over £140 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and on Harry Maguire, and we have seen glimpses of, you know, what good signs, you know, they've proven to be so far, because they've been very, very consistent despite our bad start to the season. So it's good in the aspect, you know, that we did address some of the problematic areas, but we didn't address all the problematic areas. But don't forget, it had only been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first summer as Manchester United manager, so obviously it was going to be hard for us, you know, to address all the problematic areas in that. But you know, we need. I think already Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is making plans for the January window. I think also Ed Woodward is making plans for the January window, because there's still certain areas, you know, where Manchester United are lacking. Obviously, you know, that midfield area is one of the priority areas where Manchester United need to strengthen up. The board didn't recommend any sufficient midfielders in or any sufficient attackers in, you know, during the summer. Don't forget, for the majority of the summer as well, we was in search for a right winger. I think Manchester United also need a striker. So these still certain areas, you know, where, you know, we do currently need to strengthen up. But you know, I don't think we're being competitive enough, like I said, in the last 3 to 4 windows. And analysing our recruitment policy, you know, isn't too good, you know, to be quite honest with you. But I think Solskjaer's actually, you know, worked out that he does want to continue the policy of signing young British players, you know, like he did do earlier on in the summer. But I think Solskjaer, Man United, you know, we have got quite a few players on our agenda, you know, who we could go in for in January and of course next summer. But like I did say, you know, I do, you know, credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know, in some aspects in that. Obviously, you know, he's got a lot of trustworthy in his young players. Obviously, the majority of the young players have been given their chances this season, which is good. You know, he did get rid of a lot of the deadwood, you know, throughout the course of the summer. You know, we did get rid of a lot of the deadwood, so we did get that, you know, summer clear out that, you know, that we did demand. And yeah, so I credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, like I said, in certain aspects, but you know, I don't think he's going to last at Manchester United. And obviously now you've got the vast majority of Manchester United fans, you know, demanding him out of the football club, which I don't blame him, to be quite honest with you. But you know, Solskjaer obviously overall now has been at Manchester United around 10 months. Obviously he's nearly been at the football club now for just under a year. You know, we did recommend Solskjaer in, don't forget, in December of last year, following the dismissal of Jose Mourinho. Don't forget, Solskjaer did come in as interim manager at the football club for 3 months, and in that 3-month period, you know, he did really, really well. You know, the results were good, the performances were good. You know, he was getting the best out of these group of players, and he exceeded expectations. But since he got the job in March earlier on this year, you know, everything, of course, has just seemed to have all gone wrong, basically. And, you know, now you can say, basically, I actually said it towards the back end of last season, I think, you know, we give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job too early. Like I said, you know, maybe we should have waited until the end of last season, or we should have waited until at some point this season to decide whether to give him the job or not. But yeah, I don't think he's going to last at Manchester United, to be quite honest with you. I want him to last. I want him to become successful, but I just don't think he's got the stature, you know, to get us in that commanding position, you know, where we do want to be. But, you know, Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager since the Alex Ferguson reign. And I did actually say, you know, we haven't got the structure, you know, to keep sacking managers, despite the fact that we've already sat 3 managers, you know, since the Alex Ferguson reign. You know, we've had, you know, different managers with different philosophies, and obviously Solskjaer now wants to bring that fear factor back to the football club. You know, he wants to bring that winning mentality back to the football club. But you know, obviously, no, none of them have been there since the Ferguson era, and I can't see him bringing any of them anywhere, you know, back to the football club. But I think us getting rid of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer just before Christmas or at this present time, you know, would not solve all the problems at Manchester United. So in my opinion, I'm still backing him, and I still would give him at least a couple of windows, you know, to see who else, you know, he can recommend into the football club, because you can still quite frankly say, you know, he's in the process of rebuilding. He is in the process of rebuilding and that. So yeah, we do. I would, honestly, I would give him time and that at the football club. But despite that we've had a bad start to the season, I still think, these certain players that have played quite well. Like I said, I think Dan James, Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire have all, performed really, really well. I think McTominay's done really, really well so far this season. McTominay, to be fair, has deserved to keep his place in the team. If in regards to McTominay being the long-term solution for Man United, I have got an element of concerns about that. These question marks around McTominay, can he keep the consistency up? And you know what? I hope he can keep the consistency up and that. He has actually been mainly playing in the Premier League games so far this season as McTominay, but I have, been really, really impressive with him for the majority of the season. He has actually, been playing alongside Paul Pogba, but due to Paul Pogba's absence, quite recently in the Premier League, he has been playing alongside Nemanja Matic. Obviously with Fred, I think he's done well quite recently as Fred, and we need to see more of Fred, like I did say at the start of the season. Fred needs to be given more time. He hasn't settled in as yet. He's only been at the football club since last summer. Don't forget, we paid just under £50 million for Fred, but he has done good in certain games this season. He has done good in certain games this season. I think Alex Tuanzebe, he's done really, really well as Alex Tuanzebe, in the games he's obviously played in this season. Thought he put a good performance out on Monday night in the 1-1 draw with Arsenal. Obviously on Monday night he was playing at left back. But yeah, I think he's one of the young players, that can become a success at Manchester United, Alex Tuanzebe. But like I did say to you, we have got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve at Manchester United. And like I did say, probably not all the young upcoming players are going to be a success at the football club. Maybe there will be only a couple that becomes a success. It may be only Mason Greenwood that becomes the successful one in that. So maybe we should orchestrate on maybe loaning some of the young upcoming players out, because maybe it will be beneficial for their career in that aspect. It will gain them more experience in that. But yeah, I think a couple of young upcoming players will become a success at the football club. I think Mason Greenwood so far this season, in the games he has played, and I think he's been very, very impressive. Obviously so far this season in the Premier League, he's made 5 substitute appearances. He's obviously not yet started the game from the start in the Premier League. I think he should start on Sunday, to be quite honest with him, against Newcastle. I'm surprised he didn't start against Arsenal. Obviously started yesterday against AZ Alkmaar, but Mason Greenwood has scored 2 goals. Obviously the 2 games he started this season against FC Astana and Rochdale, so come up with that moment of quality. But Solsjaker actually gave his overarching view on Mason Greenwood, and he did say, it would be impossible to leave him out of the squad, obviously, if he keeps scoring goals and if he keeps the consistency up. Solskjaer has assured that Greenwood will get more minutes under his belt. I think by the time he's 23, 24, he can be a world-class centre forward. Don't forget, he recently just turned 18 years of age, so he has still got a lot of development in him. But in my opinion, at this present time, I think Greenwood is actually a much better solution than Marcus Rashford. Now, obviously, Rashford didn't start the game against AZ Alkmaar, but Rashford's recently, been out over a groin problem. And I think Rashford has enjoyed a difficult start to this season. I think he did well throughout pre-season. He did well on the opening day against Chelsea, but I think prior to that, Rashford has really, really struggled for consistency. I'd still say it's a long-term solution for Man United, and that a lot of people still think, a lot of people think he's overrated, and that, so far Rashford has spent the entirety of his career with Manchester United. He's been a United player since the age of 7. Obviously, he's been in the senior squad of us since 2016. Don't forget, Rashford did score on his Europa League debut against Midtjylland. He scored twice on his Premier League debut against Arsenal back in February 2016. But he's now enjoying a difficult time with Manchester United in comparison, to his time, when he first got into the senior squad. But he's still 21 years of age, and we still do need to give him time. But for me, at this moment in time, Mason Greenwood is a much better solution than him. Mason Greenwood is a much better solution than him. My opinions on Chong. Obviously, he's played a couple of games so far this season. A lot of Man United fans have got element of concerns about Chong. To be quite honest with you, I think he's totally comparison to Mason Greenwood. Don't forget, Chong could have gone out on loan this summer, because don't forget, he had received loan offers from PSV and his former club, Fernand, but John turned these loan offers down. And obviously, wanted to remain loyal to the football club for at least this season. But he's played a couple of times this season, as Chong. Angel Gomez, obviously, he played against AZ Alkmaar. Angel Gomez, he's actually going to be a big part of the squad this season. Actually, Angel Gomez is another one of our midfield options. But yeah, he's still only very, very young. But Diego Dalot as well, he made his second appearance for the club yesterday, did Diego Dalot. Like I said, he'll get his chances this season. He's actually one of our backup options at that right-back position is Diego Dalot. Again, he needs time, because don't forget, we only got him last summer from Porto for around, was it 19 or 20 million pounds. He's still only very, very young. Like I said, Brandon Williams, he's another young upcoming player. He played yesterday in the game against Alkmaar. He obviously played at left back, did Brandon Williams. Jimmy Garner, I don't think he's yet played so far this season, but I do think, he played a couple of games, throughout pre-season. So like I said, we have got a lot of young players in the squad. Yeah, but like I said, I haven't really seen much improvements under Ole Gunnar Solsjaker, than what I saw, under Mourinho, Louis van Gaal, and of course David Moyes. I just don't think it's going to last under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and that. Other players I've been disappointed with so far this season. I've been very, very unimpressed with Jesse Lingard. I think he's been very, very poor. And like I did say, reflects on his status at the football club. Jesse Lingard, should be putting much more better performances out, but he's been so inconsistent, so far this season. But yeah. A lot of people believe anyway, we're lacking in that attacking line, following the dismissal of Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez. I think, we need to recommend a striker in January, and I think actually that's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's, top priority. But like I do keep saying, regardless of who our manager is, no one is going to ever, follow Alex Ferguson's legacy. We're never going to replicate what we did under Alex Ferguson and that. Don't forget, Alex Ferguson, didn't win out in his first, 4 years at Manchester United, when we recommended him in, from Aberdeen, back in 1985, 1986, so it might have been 1984. He didn't win out in his first 4 years, but we know back in the old generation that, the boards were nowhere near as ruthless as they are now. But Solskjaer's not, I don't think Solskjaer's going to get the time, that he would like at the football club. But look what Ferguson, went and accomplished after, he didn't win out in his first 4 years. We had 20 odd years of success under him. Ferguson, developed a lot of young players. He developed a lot of young players in that. But, it doesn't matter who we're getting, we're never going to be the team that we was under Alex Ferguson. But we just want to be back, to being a competitive elite level football club. Because I did initially say, reflects on the history of this football club. Because we are the most successful team in England historically. Reflects on the amount of money that's been invested on players into the football club in the last, 6 or 7 years. We should be much more of a commanding position, than we're in now. We have got quite a few injuries, though, as you all know. So there was quite a few players that were out of injury yesterday against AZ Alkmaar. I think, the majority of players that are now currently injured are also doubts for the game against Newcastle this Sunday. So I think Martial's a doubt for Sunday, Luke Shaw's a doubt for Sunday, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has confirmed. I think also Paul Pogba is a doubt for Sunday, because obviously Paul Pogba didn't play yesterday, obviously, due to the recurrence of his ankle injury, that he had sustained in the 1-1 draw with Southampton back in August, I think it was. Even though Paul Pogba did play against Rochdale and Arsenal, he actually played the full 90 minutes in them 2 games. He didn't obviously, look fully fit. So it's looking like Paul Pogba's going to be a big miss for Sunday against Newcastle. Like I said, Martial, he's been out over hamstring fight injuries. Anthony Martial, he's missed the last 6 games for Manchester United in all competitions, and we do know obviously that Anthony Martial has been a big miss. I thought before he sustained his injury that Martial, enjoyed a good start to this season. I think he did well in the first 3 games and that. And I said, if Martial, can avoid, sustaining any more injuries and he can keep the consistency up, I think he can score at least around 15 to 20 goals this season. season. You know, Martial is still 23 years of age. You know, like I said, you know, Martial and Rashford can both play in the same positions, so they are compatible in that aspect. You know, they can both play essentially, they can both play out wide, but it got confirmed at the start of the season that obviously Anthony Martial has been given that number 9 shirt. So I think he's more effective in that central position, you know, even though he does predominantly, you know, play out wide. And now he's into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. You know, he's scored over 50 goals for the club in all competitions. But I think a lot of things have improved about his game. You know, he gets a lot of them runs in behind now. You know, he's got that finishing assets now and that. I still don't think he's quite emulated to that level as yet, but I think, you know, he will get to that level in time to come with Anthony Martial. But yeah, only 23 years of age. But I think, you know, he should be now closer to regaining full fitness. Obviously, now with Luke Shaw, you know, he's also missed the last 6 games for Manchester United in all competitions. You know, he's been out with a hamstring injury. And, you know, to be fair, you know, Luke Shaw has been a big miss. You know, Luke Shaw's our first choice left back. Like I did say, due to Luke Shaw's absence, it has been mainly Young that's been full in his position at left back and that, even though Ash Young's predominantly a right back. You know, Rojo a few times has played at left back. You know, obviously Tuan Zebe played at left back on Monday. Brandon Williams, you know, played at left back yesterday against AZ Alkmaar. But Luke Shaw's been a big miss in that, and, you know, analysing the majority of Luke Shaw's career, you know, I think he's been mainly consistent in my opinion. I think he's had some bad spells in that. You know, he had a bad spell under Mourinho. You know, he has sustained quite a few injuries. I think prior to that, you know, I think he's, you know, done really well, and we do know the difference he can make on that left hand side. And Luke Shaw did win the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his impressive performances. Wan-Bissaka now, obviously we do know he missed the game against Alkmaar and Arsenal, so he's missed the last 2 games in that aspect due to illness. Wan-Bissaka, of course, has had tonsillitis. I think, you know, he should be available for the game on Sunday against Newcastle. And Wan-Bissaka's a very imperative player, and like I said, he's enjoyed a really good start to his Manchester United career, and a lot of people believe that Wan-Bissaka, you know, has been one of our most consistent signings, and he wasn't. It was only early on in the season that Wan-Bissaka had to withdraw from the England squad, you know, with a back injury he had sustained. So that back injury prevented him, you know, from making his England senior debut. But yeah, it's confirmed he has been out with illness as Wan-Bissaka. Got confirmed as well, as you all know, yesterday Jesse Lingard came off the pitch before you know, the end. Basically, I think it was in stoppage time he came off the pitch with a hamstring problem. So that's another injury concern for Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solsjaker. And like I said, it was only early on this season that Jesse Lingard, you know, had been out with illness. Obviously, we do know that Eric Bailly's a long-term absence. He's out until the new year with injury, or is it until the end of December? He sustained this knee injury, you know, throughout pre-season. Obviously, Fosu Mensah is still out with injury, so we have still got quite a few players out with injury in that. But you know, I think the majority of them, you know, will not be fit enough, you know, to play against Newcastle on Sunday. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will, you know, make a lot of you know, alterations in the squad, you know, from the 0-0 draw yesterday against AZ Alkmaar. He actually went with a 4-1-4-1 formation yesterday, and that's actually, you know, a formation that's a rarity, you know, for us, because, you know, usually Solskjaer, you know, goes with a 4-3-3 or the 4-2-3-1. Actually, quite a lot of Manchester United fans have actually, you know, demanded him to go more with a 4-3-3 formation, because maybe that, you know, they believe that that'll be a better system for Manchester United. But like I do keep saying to you, you know, I still think, you know, these, you know, players that should leave the football club, despite the fact that a lot of now left since Solskjaer's arrival. And I said, you know, Italy has been a popular destination for the vast majority of our players that have left this summer. You know, obviously we know that Antonio Valencia left at the end of last season after he served 10 years at Manchester United. Obviously we know that Chris Smalling left the football club. He went to Roma for just under £3 million on loan. But despite the fact that Chris Smalling went, you know, we have still got 6 centre-backs in the team. You know, Darmian left the football club. He went to Parma. You know, and the Herrera and Mami Fellaini, you know, they both left the football club. And I think that was a mistake for Man United, you know, getting rid of Ander Herrera, because I think you could arguably say Ander Herrera, you know, was one of our best midfielders since the Alex Ferguson era and that, and, you know, we let him go on a free transfer, you know, earlier on in the summer. You know, we let him go on a free transfer to PSG. And, you know, we're with the football club are known for doing, you know, overpaying for players, and then when it comes to letting them go, we let them go for next to nothing. Herrera served 5 years at Manchester United. You know, Mami Fellaini served 6 years at the football club. He went to China in January. Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez both left. Obviously, you know, they're both at Inter Milan, so obviously now they're reuniting together. Yeah, and I think obviously, you know, we loaned a couple of goalkeepers out. So for me, you know, these two more players that do need to leave the football club. You know, I think Phil Jones, he's a problematic player at the club. Don't forget Phil Jones, he's also out with injury. He's another player that's injured. This is probably why he didn't, you know, play, you know, against, you know, AZ Alkmaar. Phil Jones has been at Manchester United now 8 years. He's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. Obviously now, you know, I think he's aging up. You know, he's no longer good enough to represent the football club. And obviously, you know, he signed a new long-term contract last season. That was a mistake for Manchester United, you know, giving Phil Jones a new long-term contract. Ashley Young, I think, you know, he needs to be moved on at the end of the season. You know, Ashley Young has passed his sell-by day at the football club. Now, obviously, Young is, 34? I think he's 35 next year. He's Ashley Young. But yeah, he's definitely, you know, past his sell-by day at the football club, and now he's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. You know, he's been here since the Alex Ferguson era. Jones has been here since the Alex Ferguson era. So these still quite a couple of players here, you know, that are still here, you know, from the Alex Ferguson era. Don't forget, we did give Young a new 1-year extension last season. Marcus Rojo now. Obviously, you know, he's been here since the Louis van Gaal era. I think Rojo now is into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. Rojo for me is, you know, I said he'll get them opportunities in the Europa League and the cup games and that, but I think he's another problematic player for the football club. You know, Marcus Rojo, like I said, I think his Man United career has been mainly affected with the amount of injuries he's sustained, because obviously he has sustained quite a few injuries during his tenure with the club. Obviously, don't forget, Rojo has just got under 2 years left on his current contract. You know, don't forget Everton during the summer then inquired about getting him on deadline day. Don't forget, you know, quite a few other teams, you know, went in there for Marcus Rojo. Quite a few other teams, you know, went in for him as well. But obviously, you know, he ended up staying at the football club. But he's another particular player that I think needs to be moved on in January and next summer. Matic, you know, he's definitely a problematic player at the football club. You know, I do believe, you know, Matic definitely... Matic, you know, definitely, you know, needs to be moved on in January or next summer or in the future. Because I think Matic, you know, has become infuriated, you know, with the lack of playing time this season. Obviously, you know, he played a lot, you know, recently, you know, due to Paul Pogba's absence. But, you know, Matic is too slow. You know, he makes that midfielder look totally imbalanced. And now he's into his 3rd season as a Manchester United player. You know, he has made 90-odd appearances for the club in all competitions. You know, around 67 of those appearances have come in the Premier League. Matic's current deal expires at the end of the season. But we do have an option, you know, to extend it by a further year. And Matic, of course, now is 31 years of age, so he is aging up in that aspect. He isn't getting any younger. But I did say any of our midfielders are much better solutions than Nemanja Matic. And Nemanja Matic has lost his place in the team anywhere. He's no longer first choice. He actually, you know, was our first choice last season, but, you know, we paid around, £40 million for Matic. So I think he's another problematic player at the football club. But yeah, so for me, these still, you know, more players, you know, that do need to leave Man United. But like I said, I think we need to get at least 3 world-class signings in, you know, if we are, you know, to get back to where we want to be, or if we are to be, you know, future title contenders. Maybe we need even more than, you know, 3 world-class signings. But we'll just have to see, you know, who we can obviously, you know, get in January. You know, Solsjaker may not even be here, you know, by January. But I said something else, you know, that would have gone against, that went against us, you know, throughout the course of the summer. You know, we didn't, you know, qualify for the Champions League. And I did say, you know, when you're not in Champions League football, obviously, you know, it's going to be hard to attract players to the elite level, you know, when you're not in Champions League football and that. And I did say a lot of players had concerns about joining the football club, you know, throughout the course of the summer. A lot of players had concerns about joining the club, you know, throughout the course of the summer and that. But yeah, so like I said, I was reading recent reports, not too long ago, and obviously, there was talks about, Man United spending another substantial amount in January. It says reportedly we are orchestrating on spending up to around £90 million in January on, Lyon's Moussa Dembele and Newcastle's Sean Longstaff. Obviously, Moussa Dembele is an out-and-out number 9 striker. Obviously, Sean Longstaff is predominantly a central midfielder, so he's a box-to-box midfielder now. Do you think, they would be the right calibre players for Manchester United? Obviously, £90 million is a substantial amount, like I said, but we have got the financial power, to meet those, demands and that. Moussa Dembele, now we did inquire about getting Moussa Dembele, throughout the course of the summer. We did inquire about him. He wasn't one of our main priority targets, so in that aspect, we was tentatively linked with him and that. Obviously, Moussa Dembele has actually had experience of playing in the Premier League. Don't forget, he actually began his senior career with Fulham when he was a lot younger, and I think at that time, quite a lot of teams were tracking him. Obviously, don't forget, he also developed at PSG when he was a lot younger. Don't forget, he did have a good couple of years with Celtic as well in Scotland. Now he's in his second season with Lyon. Obviously last season was his debut season in France with Lyon. Lyon, I think, paid around £20 million to him last summer from Celtic, and he is under contract with Lyon until 2023. So do you think he would be the right player for Manchester United? Do you think he'd be able to win us them goals and that we do need? I think he has just turned 23 years of age, but according to reports, we'll have to pay in the excess of around £50 million to get Moussa Dembele in January. With Sean Longstaff, like I said, we was in for Sean Longstaff, basically for the majority of the summer we was in for him. Obviously, we didn't get Sean Longstaff because obviously, Newcastle were playing hardball. Obviously, Newcastle, were reluctant to offload him. Newcastle, were demanding that they wanted around £50 million, I think, towards in the last couple of weeks of the window. But Man United were not willing to pay £50 million. We was only willing to pay up to around 20 to 25 million pounds or something like that anywhere. But yeah, I think, we're set to reignite our interest. Like I said, he's only 21 years of age. He's got some experience now under his belt and that. Obviously, don't forget, he only made his senior debut for Newcastle back in December of last year. Obviously, he did well in the second half of last season, under Rafael Benitez's guidance. Don't know how he's performed so far this season. Haven't really watched Newcastle. Well, Newcastle have enjoyed a pretty bad start to this season. Obviously, they've only registered 5 points in 7 games. They're sitting 19th at the moment in the Premier League. But yeah, so, and Sean Longstaff initially, was a product of Newcastle's academy, but I think he also had loan spells there with Kilmarnock and Blackpool. So obviously we're probably seeing Sean Longstaff as an adequate replacement for Ander Herrera and that. So yeah, they're 2 players on our agenda. There's also, I think, but I think a lot of players we was in for during the summer anyway, it's more than likely, we will reignite our interest in them in January. Maybe, we will leave some until next summer. There has been talks going on about Christian Eriksen, from Tottenham. Obviously, don't forget towards the back end the summer transfer window, we inquired about getting Christian Eriksen. Obviously, I think Tottenham were demanding a substantial amount. I think earlier on in the summer, they was demanding a substantial £130 million for him. And then I think Tottenham initially, lowered their asking price because Tottenham know how much of an imperative player that Christian Eriksen is. And obviously, they don't want to lose one of the imperative players. He was subjected to intense speculation during the summer. And he was mainly, linked to a move to Real Madrid. And I think his actual preference, was to make a move to Spain. Christian Eriksen obviously has got on his current contract expires at the end of the season with Tottenham, so Tottenham are at risk of losing him on a free transfer. I think Tottenham have been in talks of trying to obviously get him a new contract and that, but I think Christian Eriksen does want to leave. But yeah, so we could reportedly go in for him in January. Obviously, he's predominantly an attacking midfielder. I think he would be the right solution for Manchester United, and would be a good adequate replacement for Paul Pogba, because I think Paul Pogba is still going to leave the football club, even though he didn't leave this summer. But Christian Eriksen, obviously, it'd be beneficial for us because obviously he's well Premier League proven. He can score goals and that. And I think what he's been doing, at Tottenham, I think he could replicate, the same at Manchester United. But Christian Eriksen has been at Tottenham now 6 years. He's now into his 7th season as a Tottenham player. He has actually made 277 appearances for them in all competitions and scored 66 6 goals. The vast majority of his goals for Tottenham have obviously, you know, come in the Premier League. But yeah, Tottenham paid around, was it 11 or 12 million pounds for him from Ajax, you know, back in, was it 2013. But yeah, you know, he's a very, very good player, good on the ball, good off the ball, good at tracking back. Only 27 years of age, so has still got a lot of development in him. So yeah, he would be the right player for Manchester United. Don't forget, you know, for the entirety of the summer, that Bruno Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon, you know, was one of our main priority targets. But obviously, you know, we didn't get Bruno Fernandes, you know, unfortunately. Don't forget, we inquired about, you know, the possibility of Mario Mandzukic. He's another player we could maybe go in for in January or next summer. But I think he did say, you know, we've got element of concerns about, you know, recommending Mario Mandzukic into the football club. Obviously, reflects on his age. You know, Mario Mandzukic is now, what, 33 years of age and that. I admire him because he's had a great career in that, but we have got element of concerns about recommending him into the football club, even though Mario Mandzukic would be a much cheaper solution than all the players that I've just mentioned to you in that. Obviously, he's a striker. Obviously, we're seeing him as an adequate replacement for Romelu Lukaku. But yeah, it's good that we're making plans already, you know, for the January window. But like I did say, you know, a lot of money, you know, has been invested into the football club over the years. I think around, you know, 800 odd million pounds has been spent at Manchester United, you know, since you know, the Alex Ferguson era. 800 odd million pounds, you know, obviously over 140 million pounds has been spent this summer under Solsjaker. Just under 400 million pounds was spent under Mourinho. You know, just over 200 million pounds was spent under Louis van Gaal. You know, around 67 million pounds was spent under Moyes. So it's around 800 million pounds we spent. So we spent just under £1 billion at the football club, and obviously that's not taking into account, you know, what was spent under Alex Ferguson. That obviously, if you want to take into account what was spent under Ferguson, obviously, you know, it's way over £1 billion, you know, that the football club has spent. And obviously now we have now got players on big contracts and that, and. And yeah, I think, you know, Paul Pogba is going to leave the football club. I think he'll, to be quite honest with you, I think, you know, he will leave in January. If he doesn't leave in January, though, he will leave next summer, will Pogba. Obviously, you know, recent reports did speculate out that saying that if there was any chances of, obviously, Paul Pogba committing his long-term future in Man United, and also if there was any chance of him renewing his contract at the football club, you know, it said that Paul Pogba, you know, was demanding a substantial 600 grand a week from the football club. You know, 600 grand a week obviously equates to around 30, or is it 31 million pounds a year? I can't see, you know, Manchester United, you know, willing to give him to give him 600 grand a week, even though we've got the financial power to meet those wage demands. And Paul Pogba in his current deal at the moment, you know, he's on around, what, 290 grand a week. You know, obviously he's got 2 years left in his current contract at Manchester United, with an option, you know, to extend it. You know, with an option, you know, to extend it by a further year. So in that aspect, you know, Paul Pogba, you know, is still one of the highest paid players with the football club. But you know, I think we've actually, you know, had a couple of negotiations with Paul Pogba's agent, Mini Raiola, you know, over the possibility of renewing his contract, and obviously to discuss Paul Pogba's future and that at the football club. But, you know, throughout the course of the summer, you know, he was subjected to intense speculation. Obviously, you know, he was relentlessly linked with a move to Real Madrid. Obviously, you know, there was talk PSG allegedly, you know, agreed to get him on deadline day, but his move to PSG never materialised, allegedly because of the Neymar saga. Obviously, Barcelona inquired about him, you know. There was obviously talks about him, you know, making a return back to Turin. But obviously, you know, Real Madrid, I still believe, remains his preference. And, you know, I think Paul Pogba himself and I think Zinedine Zidane, you know, they'll both be infuriated, you know, about it, you know, that Pogba will be infuriated that he couldn't go to Madrid, you know, this summer. Also, Zinedine Zidane, you know, will be infuriated, you know, that he couldn't obviously, you know, recommend him in. But I did say, you know, reflecting on the substantial amount we put on Pogba during the summer was the stumbling block of, obviously, you know, Paul Pogba making his move to Real Madrid, because, you know, we were actually very adamant he wasn't for sale, but we did say if we were forced into selling him, you know, we were demanding around £180 million. And this is obviously, you know, this is something obviously that Real Madrid were not willing to meet. So they wasn't willing to meet our valuation, and I think we're still very adamant that he's not going to be for sale in January, and I think we'll demand a similar sort of figure, to as we did do during the summer, if we are to soften our stance on Paul Pogba in January and that. But Paul Pogba did confirm back in June, which was obviously early on this summer, that he wanted to leave Manchester United. He did say he was seeking for a new challenge, and he publicly, admitted, that he did want to leave the football club. But Paul Pogba now is into his 4th season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, since he rejoined from Juventus back in 2016, and he has mainly enjoyed a difficult time at the club. In comparison to his time at Juventus. We have seen the best of Paul Pogba in that, we have seen glimpses of how good he can be in that, because he can, perform really, really well, can Paul Pogba. You mainly see the best of Paul Pogba, when he is freed up. But yeah, he has been mainly inconsistent. Obviously, he's won the Europa League with us in the League Cup. That came in his 2nd season at Manchester United. But he's still 26 years of age. He has still got a lot of development minimum and that. But yeah, like I said, he's a big doubt for Sunday. He's Paul Pogba and that. So hopefully, we can have some players, will be getting full fitness, for the game against Liverpool after the international break. Hopefully, I'm hopeful about that. But like I said, I think, Solsjaker is not the right man for Manchester United. I hate to say that because I do love him a lot. But I still believe, the board and that will still remain, soft over Ole Gunnar Solsjaker, because obviously, he was a club legend. Maybe now, if it would have been another manager now in at Manchester United, I think, they would have been sacked by now, or probably at least, would have been one game away from the sack, because obviously, just because it's Ole Gunnar Solsjaker, and obviously the board have been obviously soft and that. But yeah. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribing as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching.